I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, "There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." Now, I'm sure in your experiences in school and applying to college and picking your major and deciding what you want to do with life, I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on. Make sure you got something to fall back on, honey. But I never understood that concept, having something to fall back on. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything except my faith. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit.
So I'm going to ask you, how do you avoid settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living? Michael.
Yeah, that's a great question too. I think you just have to keep challenging yourself, which sounds kind of monotonous because I think life is one big challenge, regardless. But, for me, in my example, is I worked for a company doing finance. Um, so I was doing kind of my passion because I was working in finance, a big investment bank. Um, so you would say that I guess I was pursuing my passion there, but I didn't really feel like I was helping people, or I should say this. What I realized is I didn't feel like I was helping people that were close to me, people in my community. I was doing investment banking, essentially making rich people richer, and these people I didn't know. So, although it's great, you're still providing a service. I didn't feel like I wasn't servicing the right group of people. And although I was doing finance, which is a passion, it wasn't fully my passion. So what I ended up doing is leaving and finding a way to do that on my own. Instead of finding a company that did it and being hired by that company, I just started to create my own opportunities to help people with finance. And so that's how I did settle. Now that's been challenging on its own because it could have been easier for me to just say, forget my passions. Let me just do something that I know is going to provide me with a comfortable living. Um, but I think my life is meant to be more than that. So I opted to take that direction. And it's not a direction everyone takes or should take unless you're really prepared for it. But that's how I avoided settling for a life less than, the one I know I'm capable of living. I haven't regretted it so far.
Yeah, definitely asking for help. I'm still very young and I don't know everything. I don't know the world, compared to, you know, people who are older than me who experience a lot of life. So I do speak to my father a lot. I speak to advisors. I reach out to people. And especially having a finance background and working in a fashion industry, I was an intern at a huge fashion corporation where I was around the best of the best brands, luxury brands also. But during that internship, very, very similar to Michael, although I love fashion and I understand it, I wanted to really help people because, working in the fashion industry, they only think about consumers. They're only thinking about how they're going to get wealthier and what's the trendiest things, but I wanted to bring true value to people's lives as far as thinking long term and really living a comfortable life based on in my community. So I reach out to a lot of help as far as like really asking questions and on like how should I do something and what questions should I ask. So that's basically my method.
Fall forward. This is what I mean. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs. Fall forward. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Because the 1,001st was the light bulb. fall forward. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You've got to take risks, and I'm sure you've probably heard that before, but I want to talk to you about why that's so important. I got 3 reasons, and then you can pick up your iPhones. First, you will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. And I know that's probably not a traditional message for a graduation ceremony, but hey, I'm telling you, embrace it, because it's inevitable. And I should know. Here's my second point about failure. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. My wife told me this great expression. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did.
While learning finance, I come from a huge fashion background. So learning finance, I failed so many times. And I'm going to speak on failing tests sometimes because it wasn't my strong suit. But I had to do so much research, very similar to what Michael was talking about. I had to learn, what do I need to know to succeed? And I took this huge risk as far as not knowing as much in this industry. And I have a degree in early childhood education, but I was working in fashion and things of that nature, but I wanted to learn the numbers. So challenging myself and saying, hey, I'm not good at this. I knew I was going to suck. And when I mean I was awful, I was. Like, my teammates couldn't always rely on me on group projects, but the thing that they loved about me was my ability to research, my confidence, and I practiced. So you have to really, saying exactly what Michael was saying, you have to be calculated. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to make sure that you take on that challenge daily in order to succeed.
Thank you for sharing. And, I failed at a lot of things throughout my life, but one thing, the approach that I take is that every failure is a lesson for me. Every failure you can learn something from. You can look at it and say, what did I do wrong this time? How will I improve it next time? The key is, don't be afraid to take risk, and don't be afraid if it fails, because there's always a learning experience. And the people who are successful, like Denzel pointed out, was you have to keep going forward, because trust me, everybody fails at something. He's one of the most successful actors, of this time. And he's saying he's failed a lot. So don't be discouraged if you try something and you fail. Always look at it as, what did I learn from that? What did I do wrong? How can I improve it the next time? So you're basically taking something that could be a negative and turning it into a positive, because sometimes your failures can be your greatest classroom lessons. So that's my little take on it.
So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals. Life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. I try to give myself a goal every day. Sometimes it's just to not curse somebody out. Simple goals, but have goals. And understand that to achieve these goals, you must apply discipline and consistency. In order to achieve your goals, you must apply discipline, which you have already done, and consistency every day, not just on Tuesday and miss a few days. You have to work at it.
Oh, wow. I think that's such a powerful message that he says, because many people have dreams and passions, but you have to be disciplined about achieving those goals. And many people that I mentor, they ask me, Kim, how do you get so much done? And I'm like, I don't overwhelm myself. I make a list of things that are small things each day, but I'm very consistent about making that list and achieving it. And I do it in chunks where they're not overwhelming. Because my goal for one day may be to just make 3 phone calls. You can do that. If you make a goal every single day, no matter how small or how big it is, at the end of the year, you would have accomplished 365 things. So, that's something that I'd like to share with you.
Absolutely. I'm working on it every day myself. So I would say it's definitely all in the mind. Your mind is the most powerful tool that you have and that you possess. And discipline and consistency is very challenging. So as Roshan mentioned, for him, he's staying consistent playing soccer during the summer, even though he's no longer on the soccer team. And that's keeping it both disciplined and consistent. Um, it's repetitiveness that you need to have. And sometimes we don't feel like doing things, or we're just in a bad mood, whatever the case is, but you still have to push through. So for me, the way that I was able to do it is I stay disciplined and consistent with small things, right? Because when you start with something small and you can see that come to reality and you can stay disciplined with that, you can do bigger things. So I would say just start small and keep it mindful. I'll share one with you. So, for me to be disciplined and consistent in other goals that I have, one thing that I do consistently every week as a discipline is today, which is every Monday, I fast. So, from the time I wake up to when I break my fast later today, it's almost about 18 hours that I don't eat. But I drink a lot of water, and I just keep myself mindful of the discipline and consistencies that I need to have to get through the day and to get through other tasks and other goals, so that when I'm trying to be disciplined and consistent with those goals, I know that I can do it because I've started small doing something that I know I can maintain.
Yeah, definitely. And I had to learn how to build even more of a discipline even after graduation, because I had a lot of doubts as far as, okay, how am I going to apply this? And I didn't think about the fact that I achieved something being the first person in my family to graduate. I didn't think about that. So one way is, I had to really believe in myself. And sometimes that's being disciplined enough to write down my achievements, and then giving myself little things throughout the day. Like, okay, I want to email this person, ask them questions, and really put myself out there more now that I am a recent graduate. What should I continuously study? So I've developed better studying patterns as well, and still staying in those books even after graduation, because when I do get hired, I want them to say, okay, she knows her stuff, and that's all based on confidence, because doubt will get to you. So you have to ensure that you're building that discipline to still believe in yourself and to accomplish more things in life.